It's a nice, cool 50-degree day on the homestead here in South Georgia, and it's time to cut some greens. If this is your first time on our channel, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button below and hit that bell notification button so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you are a frequent viewer of our channel, it's always good to have you back. So this is the plot we're going to be working with and harvesting today. If you saw that previous video, we had sweet potatoes in here. We harvested those, cleaned those out, and we built us some elevated beds in here to plant some greens intensively with our Hoss garden seeder. And we elevated those beds because we get a lot of runoff from that barn right there, and it just keeps everything nice and clean and from washing out. Now if you saw that video, and I'll put a link to that video up above here, we planted a bed of all top turnips, a bed of Mizuna greens, and a bed of Tatsoi greens. Now I don't really know why, but for some reason the all top turnips and the Mizuna just didn't come up that well. I don't know if it was because we had a cold spell right after that and it just kind of stunted the germination, but they just didn't come up real well. And I know it wasn't the seed because just a couple days later Dad started some of those in trays in the greenhouse and we got 100% germination. So I don't know if the cold spell stunted them, but for whatever reason they didn't come up, so we had to go to plan B. Now the one bed that did germinate on the first planting was this Tatsoi right here, and this is a type of mustard. It's got a little more bite to it than traditional mustard, but it's really tasty. And you cut it when it gets small like this, and you can see we've got a nice lush bed of this stuff that's ready to cut, and we're going to be harvesting this today and packing it up for our weekly vegetable bags. And you can let this stuff get pretty big, but I like to harvest it when the leaves are about this size. We'll just come in here and do a clean cut, and this is a cut and come again type green. We can cut it 3 or 4 times and get a lot of food off this little bed right here. And then one of the plan B beds here, we had some Mizuna planted here originally, and you can see some of that did come up there. Those little kind of frilly leafed plants in there, that's the Mizuna. But most of this here is Arugula. So I came back in here and planted some Arugula, and it come up really nice. And this stuff is probably ready to harvest or really close to it. I'll harvest this in the next few days or so. I'm not gonna get it today. I'm gonna focus on that Tatsoi and what's in the next bed. And then our second plan B bed here, we have a variety of mustard called Savannah Mustard. Now we grew this at a demo garden several years ago and was really happy with it. It does good as a cut and come again, and you want to harvest this at a little smaller stage than you do traditional mustard. It's just got a really good flavor to it. So we've got a lot of mustard on this little 2-foot wide bed here that we can harvest today. Now the Tatsoi greens and the Arugula is something we've had on the site for a while now, but the Savannah Mustard, I don't have it on the site quite yet as of the airing of this video, but it will be available very soon, probably in the next few weeks. And one thing I really like about the Savannah Mustard is that it grows super fast. It matures in just about 20 days. So that Tatsoi was planted probably 2 weeks before that Savannah Mustard, and you can see that Savannah Mustard is already a good bit bigger than the Tatsoi. So if you want a really fast growing mustard, that Savannah is the way to go. Now I only planted 3 beds in this 25 by 35 plot initially because I wanted to give myself some harvest lanes like this right here so I could drag my tub truck bucket down through there like you'll see me do in a minute or so and harvest this stuff. But as time passed, as this stuff started coming up, I noticed I did have quite a little bit of wasted space in here, so I just couldn't help myself, and I came in here and I transplanted some beets in between a couple of these beds. So I've got some kestrel beets there growing nicely. I left this over here so I can pull my bucket and harvest this bed, and then I left this lane right here so I could harvest either of these beds to the left or the right. And then I filled this spot here with more beets, and these are Touchstone gold beets, and they're coming along pretty good too. Now these greens are fairly cold weather tolerant, but a frost will bite them a little bit. And when all these were about, 2 inches tall, we had a freeze, just a light freeze, 30, 32 degrees. And it burns the edges of the leaves a little bit. But what I found is if you then don't have any more frost for a few weeks, they'll actually grow out of it and end up looking just fine. Now, if we were going to have a lot of cold weather, I might contemplate putting a row cover or something on top of it. But our frosts are kind of spread out. We haven't had one in about a month or so. And so these things are looking real nice. And like I said, if they do get bit a little bit, they'll tend to grow out of it. Now it's time for the fun part, the harvesting. Now the reason I make these beds about 2 foot wide is because that's what's comfortable for me to straddle and be able to come through here and cut these guys. You could probably do it 3 foot wide if you wanted to, but that's not really comfortable for me. I could still straddle it, but it wouldn't be very comfortable. So make your beds as wide as you like, whatever's going to be comfortable for you to harvest. Now there is a company out there that makes something called a quick greens harvester where you can zip through here and harvest these things really fast. And if you're doing hundreds and hundreds of feet of these greens, it's probably not a bad investment. But for what I'm doing here, all I need is my tub truck here and this old hickory cabbage knife, and I can zip through here pretty quick. So all we're gonna do here is just grab us a handful, and we're gonna go through and just cut them and throw them in our bucket. And the good thing about these Savannah mustard here is that because they're small and they're a little more tender, the stems are nice and tender. You can harvest them like this. You don't have to worry about de-stemming them or anything. You can just throw these puppies here right in a pot and they'll be ready to eat. You want to make sure when you're grabbing these, you don't pull them up out of the ground. That soil there is pretty soft, nice and wet. We just got an inch or so of rain. Be a little bit careful with it, and it helps to have a good sharp knife to work through there and get them cut nice and even. So we made it through about a third of the road. Didn't take long at all. We've got a nice tub truck full here. Now all we need to do is go bag these guys up so we can share the love, and we'll have them ready to eat in the fridge whenever we want. So I'll just take my little produce storage bags here, get them opened up, and we'll just stuff them full of greens. We don't want to smash them in there too much. We don't want to crinkle them. We want to make sure we get a bag full. And these things are pretty clean. They'll just need a slight rinsing maybe right before cooking, but since they're grown on that elevated bed and grown real thick, they don't get a lot of dirt on them. So we'll just take them like this, got our bag full. Tie some knot in there, and then get our knife, poke a few holes in there, and that right there will store in the fridge for at least a week. So you got plenty of time to decide when you're ready to eat them. So this is what they look like after we come through and cut them, and you can see the height difference between what's cut there and what still needs to be cut. And these things will keep growing. They'll grow right back, and if we don't have any more frost in the next couple of weeks, which I don't think we're supposed to have, they'll be ready to cut again in another week or two. And we'll just keep cutting them and keep cutting them. Now one more note about growing these things without row cover, kind of playing the gambling game that I am here. If I do see I'm getting a frost and maybe they're not as tall as they are now, not quite ready to cut, I will go ahead and cut them. The frost doesn't seem to bother the stems. It will just burn back the leaves a little bit and make them kind of brown. So I'll kind of keep an eye on my weather And if I got a frost coming, I'll come in and cut them all clean. Once that frost is passed, they'll grow back nice and green. So I'm going to get busy harvesting the rest of this bed of Savannah mustard here. If you're interested in any of the seeds or tools used in this video, I'll put some links below so you can check those out. If you enjoyed this video, give us a big like, give us a big thumbs up, and give us a big share, and we will see you guys next time.